Well, Nigeria 2015 right here on Channels Television. Remember the hashtag Nigeria2015, and of course your email also carries that, Nigeria2015 at channelstv.com. We're looking at the election here in the country. Almost, yes, 72 hours for some, well, less than 24 hours, because in some places in the country, even in Lagos State, pockets of elections here and there as a result of some anomalies with the card reader, as well as some other issues. We're trying to look at how soon the National Coalition Center will be set up. Don't forget that if any of the any candidate, especially when we have two candidates, will meet the requirement of 25% of the votes in 24 states each, then the one with the highest number of votes will be president. There will only be a runoff if the person with the highest vote does not have 25% of the votes in 24 states, even if the second person does. Well, that's how it will operate. But for now, all the numbers you get to see anywhere other than INEC has reminded us they have the final say, and that's according to the Electoral Act. So we still have two in-house election consultants here, Captain Umar Aliu, a retired Army captain, and of course Dr. Biola Kyode. Well, good to have you still very much around. But before the break, we were speaking with Funke Adekoya, who's a senior advocate of Nigeria. She was trying to go back to the 1993 election and see the kind of lessons learned. One thing I realized looking at the poll stream as well as pictures and visuals we did gather yesterday, Harriet and Yomi, especially Yomi, I want our producers to go back to that particular tape pretty much later so that they can refresh our minds and memory, where we saw octogenarians who trooped out. It reminds us of what happened in 1993. Loads and loads of people having had more than enough of the rulership of the military at that time, realizing that we were coming into a democracy at that point in time after a series of promises that were broken by different administrations, specifically that of General Babangida at that point in time. They felt it was time for us to embrace democracy. They trooped out en masse. We saw a replica of that yesterday, irrespective of the age or the frailty of these people. They were all out. In some places it rained, and in other parts of the country it was sunny. What would you say was responsible for all of that?
Well, I think it's an affirmation of the readiness of Nigerians to ensure that they vote and their vote counts. I think we saw that very unusual zeal, by people to come out, stay with their votes. We saw aged people, challenged people, and everybody was just involved in the process. And that's if you look back, I think we got that around 1993 when we were all ready to put the military behind us and move into a civilian regime. I think we saw that coming up also this time around, and I think it's quite impressive.
Before I come to Captain Ali, do you think that the social media had anything to do with this form of awareness?
Yes, I quite agree, because there were a lot of voter education on the social media, and we also had a lot of non-state actors going from places to places, and I think the media also played a very good role in terms of talking about why it's important for people to vote and why they have to vote. I think the social media really did, because we also saw a lot of young people, women, yes, women were in large number at the polling units. I think it's the social media really did a lot in mobilizing people to come out to vote.
Captain Aliyu.
Looking at it, you could see that for me, there was a very healthy response of voters to come out and vote. Particularly impressive was, as you said, the elderly. You don't forget, Nigeria has a youth bulge. Like 67% of us are within the bracket you call youth. But that notwithstanding, you saw elderly people coming out to vote, and that gives a very good coloration to elections. And if you will observe, the elderly are not as agile and as active as we, the youth, or the youth. And for them to have put up with the, do I call it the rigors of voting as we know it, also is a very good signal that across board, from the elderly to the youngest enfranchised Nigerian, there was indeed a measure of interest this time around in voting. In those days, people would stay off the polling stations for fear of one thing or the other. But this time around, you saw that people came in and voted. There were no congestions.
The question would be why?
Yes.
I mean, growing up, we saw that when our parents were in political parties, there was this contribution that they all had membership cards.
Yes.
You see their monthly dues.
Yes.
And you see whenever they're going for campaigns. I mean, when my mom goes for campaigns, she doesn't come back with a bag of rice or salt, but you see that you know she went for a campaign because she'll be tying the scarf.
Yes.
That's the only thing that comes from the party. But it's the individuals that give to the political parties in those days. Now that was 83, 83.
Now is the
and then
antithesis.
No, 83.
Yes.
Then the military came in,
Yes.
that 83, and then 93 was the next time we're going to have an election.
Yes.
And this same passion
Yes.
by all. So what do you think led to the return of that passion amongst everybody?
If you look at what is happening in 2015, you're going to discover that we have come to, like one of my lecturers put it, there was an argument in class and he says, look, poverty, hardship, violence has no ethnic coloration. Okay, so if you decide, for example, to go out there and vote because a man gave you a bag of rice, then that's it. If he comes and does nothing else, you've had your bag of rice. Or if you decided to vote him because he's from your village, then that's it. If he does nothing else but come from your village, you can only have issues with him the day he defects from your village to another village. But
I think, as comical as that may sound,
Yes.
we have seen people represent, in this dispensation, represent constituency A, and when it's time for election in another 4 years, represent constituency B.
That's
We
what-
have actually seen all of that. We'll come back to that, but
Yes.
for now,